It's time for chaos to have a little fun.
Spiky Bits.
So welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and today we are gonna unbox and build, not these guys, because we already done that actually like a bunch of times on this channel, and we're probably gonna do another video and show you exactly how you can magnetize and how the magnetization works after you have your stuff painted, and actually how to transport your knights. That's gonna be next week's thing, hopefully, if we can just get through this week. It's been a weird one. Yes, but I hope everybody out there is hanging in there, having a great week. It's crazy, mate. It's crazy. We are gonna unbox and build this box, the Chaos Knights Army set from Games Workshop. This is $265 this week in American or USD, I suppose. Now the Knight data cards are $29, so these will probably be $29. We'll go over values, the ones that come in here in a second. The new Armature box is $85, and what GW wasn't very clear on, and that's why I wanted to show these, is because you get for $85. So first of all, before February, these were $70. And you had to pick from either the Helverns or the Wargraves. Then the price went up to $80 in February, but now for $85, you get both kits in here. So you can make either the Helvern or the Warglaive, which is kind of cool, as we've seen with the Knight box itself. Now the Canis Rex, air quotes, comes with all the kits, everything to make every variant, from the Preceptor on down to the close combat one. What is that? The Gallant, I think, the Gallant. Same deal with this, $170, still the same price. It was $170, but now it comes with both versions. The Castellan, the Ghost of 8th edition 40K, the Stale Ghost, I want to say, and the Knight Valiant. So a little bit more for your hobby dollars, I suppose, even though the armatures went up technically like $15. Which I guess you could argue maybe pays for that sprue in there. I don't know. Either way, I'm not mad at it, because it's better value now than if you were an early adopter like 4 years ago. But speaking of early adopting, Chaos Knight box set $265. We'll go over the values here in a second, but you can just stop watching right now, because if you're already checking this out and you're interested in it, it's probably worth buying right now. If you got hobby time to get this on the table, get it together, you're gonna get your rules, you're gonna get your data card, you're gonna get your Abominant, which comes with all the Chaos versions. But remember, they can use the Loyalist weapons too, which don't come in here. So you're gonna need those sprues. You're gonna need to convert them over to Chaos if you want to field, the Melta Blaster and the Gatler and all that stuff, right? But it does come with everything else. And actually, I haven't even looked at the new rulebook to see if they actually still can take those old weapons. So I may be misspeaking there. Somebody let me know in the comments, because I just don't have time to cross-reference it right this second. We got a lot going on here. We got some Knights to build. These things take 3 hours, 4 hours to build. And we got 2 little ones and a Big Daddy. So let's talk about the value real quick, because I think a lot of people, really want to hear our take on all that. So let's jump to that. And if you're just here for the Knight build and look at the kit and what we think, and what's so cool about it, and there are some gotchas, there are some stuff GW kind of didn't show us that I didn't even notice until I went to put it together, and I'm like, oh crap, I might have messed that one up. But it's definitely worth checking that part out. Just skip ahead to that. So now jumping over to the site, SpikyBits.com, we have an article breakdown of the box set here. No surprise, it is a value. But just like all the other army boxes out there that they came out with, the Sisters, the Orcs, the Black Templars, and now the Chaos Army box, there is value, but the value inherently really only gives you a free codex and free data cards. And there's obviously some mixed opinion on that, because you look at it, you're like, hey, that's great, I wanted to get this, I'm gonna get it early, I'm an early adopter. On the business side of things, you got to look at it from Games Workshop's perspective. Like, why are they making army boxes for some things and some things not? And I think at the end of the day, it's because they're worried these particular factions won't sell. Yes, they were worried. Sisters of Battle was a gamble. I think the Orc Beast Nagas were a gamble. The Black Templars, you could say, while they are popular and super dope looking, you could say they are perhaps one of the least popular chapters, because they never know to give them their own codex book, their own supplement, put them in White Dwarf. Like, what do we do with Black Templars this edition? I don't know. Let's Army box. Okay, cool. I guess everything seems to be a supplement these days. So it seems like in Games Workshop money or Games Workshop, like how they're gonna get their nut, they have to make a certain amount of sprues, or else it's not worth producing. These sprues, right? So they come up with this number, and whatever that number is, like, hey, you got to make this many sprues, right? A lot of times when you order boutique things, like if you're doing a Kickstarter, you want to sell like 5,000 units or something. Obviously, GW is dealing with way more units. 5,000 units to something is like, that's a limited edition sort of run type deal for Games Workshop. But everybody else's minimums is GW's kind of like minimums, or like limited edition kind of one-off sort of runs. But on this stuff, I don't know. Maybe they have to make 100,000. That seems bold. Maybe they have to make 100,000 sprues. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to spread it out across Chaos Knights, Army Box. We're going to spread it out over Chaos Knights. The box set, being sold individually, of course, when this is going to come out. And this, this will be some sort of individual release at some point, of course, right? So I think at the end of the day, that's why they do the Army Box stuff, because they're worried it won't sell. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means, hey, it's a good deal. But if you can wait, if you don't have the hobby time right now, you know what? When this kit comes out, and this kit comes out on the second wave, and by the time this special edition codex, remember, this isn't the limited edition codex. This isn't the $80 one. This is a variant cover in comic book terms, right? It's an alternate art kind of cover. It's basically worth the exact same as a codex, if not less, because people are going to break these boxes up and sell them. But in the long run, it'll probably be worth more than a normal codex, because it's actually going to be produced. There's going to be less numbers of these produced, but even less numbers of the collector's edition codex, right? So if you can wait and pick these up, you'll save $10 picking these up separate at the wave when it comes out, whatever, a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. And by that point, the codex is already going to be FAQ. They're already going to change stuff. If Chaos turned into Harlequins, turned into Tyranids now, right? They're gonna have to redo the rules for them, and they're gonna FAQ them. And literally, this stuff is gonna be out of date. The codex could potentially be out of date before it even actually hits store shelves. So that's kind of something to think about there for a minute. Like, hey, do I want to be an early adopter, or do I want to wait and be a little bit more sensible, finish up some other projects? Are these models dope? Yes, 100%. Do they look cool? Yes. Will you save money with this box? Sort of. You'll get a value. But at the end of the day, you got to realize you are being marketed to. People argue that these are predatory sales tactics. I say it's normal business tactics, because they want to try to get as many units out the door as possible. But the thing that concerns me is that they seem to make the codex thing and the data cards thing seem like value, when we all know at this point in time that the rules are kind of a crock. They change so much. 40K is in kind of a bad place. So it's not a value. I feel like if they got their shit together and the rules were good and the systems were locked down and you could access it all online and pay a membership, this would be a solid value 100% by me. But I can't say that right now, and I will never say that on any of these army boxes until they sort out this and the whole, like, hey, you gotta buy 2 chapter approves a year now. Like, that's just a no from me, dog. It's just a no from me. But if I was like, yo, I've been waiting for Chaos Knights to come back out, I would be all in on this box. Like, okay, cool, I got the book, that's neat. But I think at the end of the day, and sorry to take so long on this section, y'all, I think at the end of the day, and let me get my stupid face in here, because I really want to drive this point home. I think at the end of the day, Games Workshop really needs to look at their value, and I've been saying this for 6 months now, and I think, in June we're going to find out their actual numbers and see, if licensing saved the day like it did at the mid-year. Remember, their mid-year is actually our end of year. It's weird, fiscal years, they're silly. I think we're going to see a pivot. There's going to have to be a pivot. Would I buy these books if they had dope paint recipes? Because look, check this out. Well, I don't have it here. But they used to put out painting books, like physical painting books, and it would have lore and it would have content. And I mean, dude, we're buying Black Library books at this point, right? We're buying the Black Library books. Like, we'll buy a codex book that has fluff and how to paint and all that stuff. But the rules, dude, the rules are like just guidelines at this point. Guidelines that literally get erased and penciled back in ad nauseum. Like every 2 months we get a balanced data slate, and then we get a chapter approved, It's ludicrous at this point. So stop. GW, stop. Fix that shit. You can't sell your models like this and expect people to 100% adopt them when you don't have the solid foundation to build from to try to offer the codex book and the cards as value. Okay, well, now that rant's over, and thank you for hanging in there. If you're just jumping ahead to the unboxing, well, hey, good for you, because I got a little ranty, so maybe rewind it and listen to it and give it a roll and let me know what you think. GW is an interesting company at this point. So the box set, right? You're gonna open this up. You're gonna get the new Hellverns, which is really cool. These are multiple sprues. So the actual kit itself is gonna be 3 sprues, not like we haven't seen in the past. And it seems like, to me at least, they're coming with two full sets of weapons, which we hadn't seen in the past, right? So I'm almost wondering if this is going to be some sort of like, now they offer both kits for the other Hellverns, right? So I'm almost wondering if they give you the close combat weapon and they give you both the shooty weapons here. So I'm almost wondering if this is going to be both variants, right? So there's not going to be 2 kits for Chaos like there was with Loyalists, which again gets back to the little rant I was on about how they, they're going to try to sell all their sprues. So we'll take a closer look at those here in a second. Then you get the Knight Abominant, which is 4 big chunky sprues. You get all of the stuff from the previous Knight, the Rampager or whatever it's called, and then you get this new accessory sprue, which we're going to talk about here in a second. That it's pretty interesting, and I like, from a design standpoint, I really like what they did with it. Then you get the little divider here to protect your books, which I think is a really good idea too. I also really like how they did this. Like, this is the first time we saw this kind of clear, pressure blown or extruded insert here. I think they're plastic extrusion. In here, and it's got the, normally it's like the black, and it's kind of crappy, and it's not very strong, but this is super strong, and I guess these just kind of fell out of place, but it had the little spot for the bases, which was kind of neat too, right? So, and the decal sheet stuck to the back here, and then we've got the other decal sheet for the armigers, or the war dogs, I guess, and then the instruction book. So I'm gonna rip that out here in a second, and we'll talk about that. So let's talk about the design of these kits here. So we talked about a little bit that this is going to come with all of the weapons here, and I forgot that they had this other shooty arm. So it's almost like you're getting value with this, because you're getting 2 different variants in this kit, unlike what we saw with the rollout of the Imperials. And then with the Abominant, you're getting all of the sprues there, and they show you which one's which: the Carnivore, the Brigade, and the War Dog Stalker. And then here's all the sprues, and your 170 and your 100 millimeter oval, which I think is also shared by the hover tanks from Primaris as well. So as far as the Abominant goes, all of this is going to be normal. Now, I'm going to let you know ahead of time, I already screwed up, because I tried prepping for this, because I had one of the old Chaos Knights. I tried prepping for this video, but I didn't realize, and it wasn't really obvious in a lot of the pictures, that they made these extra accessory bits, which I'm going to show you on the sprue here in a second. They made this like Archaeolodon or something, a dinosaur kind of looking tail here, that I think is really cool. But what they did was they put this extra plate, this butt plate we'll call it, on the accessory sprue, and this different butt plate that goes on the back has the mount for the tail, and then the tail has 2 little armor plates here that lock in. Really neat. And remember, these legs are turned backwards than the Imperial ones, so they're going to look a little different if you're not used to it. But it's pretty much the same, and you can't really do much with the posing, unfortunately. But there's some tricks you can do with the magnets, which we're gonna show you how to magnetize this here in a second too. So all the normal build stuff, nothing super big gotcha wise that you super have to worry about. Don't glue this in here if you want to be able to turn the head, and there are some extra bits for the Abominant head on there. Now these are kind of optional, because there isn't a melter or anything like that, so you could just glue this in and still have it pivot. There is a different ion shield on the accessory sprue for the Abominant that's definitely worth maybe a second look. You could drill this out like I did on my Imperials and put 1/8 inch by 1/16 inch magnets here, and you could countersink them into here, and then you just glue the magnet right here on the top. It just sits perfect on the top. That's a great solution if you just want to pop them on and off. Maybe they'll come out with variants, maybe they'll come out with forgeable kits, who knows. Now in the past when we did our unbox, I didn't I didn't glue these stacks on because you couldn't pull the carapace off, but then I realized if you just cut off these little whistles, these Flintstone whistles on the back here of these stacks, you can actually pull the carapace on and off. So I think I'm going to clip those off on this build and be able to pop it on and off, because I'm going to show you how to magnetize the interior. Also, don't necessarily, oh well, this is the Abominant. There's two different hatches. They did a specific hatch here for Chaos, and normally it's just a blank hatch on the other one. So kind of this one looks really cool, so I think we'll tape that one down into place. And then there's the tusk horns, or the Frost Lord horns. I guess there was a Terminator back in the day, a Chaos Terminator, that has that build that I think is really cool. I used to really like him. He was one of my first models I ever built and painted way back in the day. Then you're going to get to this part here where you start building the weapons, and I'll show you. You don't want to necessarily do this. You want to drill this out underneath here, and you want to put a magnet inside of it, and then you're going to, or excuse me, you don't have to drill that out. You're just going to put a magnet there. What you're going to want to do down here is actually sink a magnet into these two parts here that glue on the side of the weapon. So you're going to have a smaller magnet that kind of locks in, and the bigger magnet in the bottom here, and they work. I'll show you here in a second. This stuff is the tolerances are so I don't want to say not. Yeah, I guess they're so tight, you don't even have to magnetize this. It just pops on and off. And I imagine it'd be even snugger when you hit it with some primer. This thing here is almost made for magnets. It's beautiful. I loved it. I can't believe that you could put a magnet right here, and then you build this little acorn shape around this. And you can literally put a magnet right inside this little acorn thing they make you build, and then the little tentacle thing could spin left and right, but also spins around on its axis too, which is really cool. So that worked out really well. And then you assemble it all, and you generally don't want to glue on your armor plates. You just do some blue tack. I'll show you that here in a second as well. Then you can put all the, this one, you put these little crows and things on it, which I think are pieces of warrior or something. The other one, you put the little spiky bits on, whatever, like who cares at that point? Like, just make it the way you want. Like, it's warrior, it doesn't even matter. It's inconsequential. Whatever looks cool, and you don't feel like painting extra shit, you know what I'm saying? So the War Dog over here, we hadn't seen this kit yet from them, so it's a little bit different, but it's very similar. The legs are just cantered back. I really like these little raptor talon, bear claw, rawr, little things on the front here. The look is just really cool. This part here, this little nub, you're gonna want to probably drill up and out to put your magnet in ahead of time, and then put a little piece of sprue in there, or rebar, to kind of reinforce the magnet, which I'll show you here in a second. And then you can glue it down, maybe hit it with a little plastic putty. I love the plastic putty. I use that stuff like all the time. And then if you're gonna come back and paint, make sure you just use some blue tack and put your armor plates on. But that's the bottom build. The top build, same thing here. Don't glue down your carapace. You're gonna super be easy to put a magnet in here, and then put a little rebar around it, put a little plastic putty in there. It should be good to go. I actually forgot what I did on mine. And then you can make, you can magnetize all the different weapons there and kind of lock them in, or you never know which one's going to be good. So it's always better to future proof your stuff. And it's easy to do that because those magnets actually, the one, gosh, I don't know exactly what the size is, but I'll find out here in a second. But it slides right into there. The little notch, it actually slides in. So as long as you drill into this is the one you have to drill into. You're gonna drill into this, countersink your magnet, super easy. And then you're gonna put your magnet in the sides here and then glue it together, and then it's good to go. As long as you match your polarities on everything, you can do it on all the arms, and then get to the back, and that's pretty much it. You make your two right there. So let's take a look at the sprues real quick, and then jump into the actual build. Real quick, let's take a look at the War Dog sprues, or whatever they're called, I guess War Dog in general. And you can see this sprue has all of the uppers here, and these are the little spots you're going to cut off and countersink the magnets if you want. You don't have to. And then there's all the head variants and stuff. And then the other sprue, which generally comes as a larger format here, is going to have all the weapons, and then you build the claw thing. I forget what that weapon's called. It's got the stubber and the rocket pod on the top, but everything looks great. And then this is the spot right here where I was talking, where you're going to put that little smaller magnet. Now those are going to, and I'll talk about it here in a second, I'll list out, but they're 1/4 diameter by 1/32 to slide in there. They just boop, slide right in. But those other ones you have to countersink. Those are going to be 1/4 by 1/16 because you actually drill those out. And I'll show you all the gear and everything you're going to need for that. So this is really cool. And then they've got little notches and little chains you can dangle off the. This can go on the front, or chains here off the weapons if you want. And the big guy, which I was about to grab as well. This one's kind of cool. Now we showed you this in the past when we unboxed, of course, the one back in 2018, the War Dog, or excuse me, the Rampager, I think it's called. And it was all right for the time. You know, it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. You know, it had some stuff, and then you kind of drape the chains over the with the spikes over the shoulder pads, or the on top, and then you kind of can't take the carapace off again. And this, you have to put the armor plates on before you put this on. So just be a little aware of that. But it's just something to kind of keep in mind. And then here's those little Flintstone whistles that you're gonna have to cut off if you want to get the carapace off the top, the army carapace off the top. I'm going to want to spend more time on the accessory sprue here in a second. And then here's the weapon sprue. And for this one, which you're going to see here in a second, these bits right here, you can actually slot a magnet right into those. I think which one's that? That is a 3/16. I got all my magnet packs right here. I figure if I say it enough, I'll remember it, but maybe not. That is a night weapon, is a 1/4 inch. Excuse me, 5/16 by 1/16. So it's a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch. So they're 5/16 by 1/16, and they just slot right into there, right into there. And then there's a different one we use to actually hang down from the little barbell looking things, which these things right here, which you're going to cut that off and then glue a little magnet on once you glue this wood. So basically that's going to be a magnet if you want to do it that way. You don't have to, but I think it works really well. Now this, I wanted to talk about the new design, the new. So it's going to come with the extra weapon bits, okay, the scourge bits, and then the tail, which I think was really neat. And this thing's got the tail here, and then that bit on the back, and then there's the armor plates, and there's the butt plate. Where's the butt plate? I don't know, it's here somewhere, but I swear it's real. I did see it. And there's some of the scourge and things, and all the little vulture bits, and those go together and form the acorn, where you put the little magnet in the middle, which I'll show you after we build it. And then the weapon, and I'm sure that's super tight tolerances, just like the other one. But what I thought was neat was the extra cockpit right here, which looks super chaosy and very on point. And then they've got this kind of spooky looking boy right here, and then the tusks, which are there, and then the little bit, oh no, it's that one, and then right there's the one bit, and then the other one, there's the other one. So this is really cool and very forward thinking. That I really like the design of this and how they kind of went about it to really upgrade that kit there, not only with a couple weapons, but a couple options to kind of make it look way different too, as far as the build. So that's the sprues. Let's get these things built up and show you well, how they look and exactly how to magnetize them if you want. Now here's the little guy, going in no particular order, of course. I thought it would be kind of neat to show. Now something we didn't realize is that magnetizing the waist here is going to be a little bit different because of these claws on the front. They kind of have to clear to go all the way around. So that was a little bit of a consideration. So what we ended up doing was just putting the magnet on top. It wasn't, I mean, it's not really even on top per se. It's still like got a little underneath and like glued in, but that magnet goes flush. So it's a little bit different on this kit. So just keep that in mind, and it's whatever. You can't even see it in there. So once you hit it with some primer, it won't be no bother. Nobody will ever see like, oh my gosh, it's a magnet. Oh, crazy, right? And then this, the little top bits, those just go on there. And then just to show you, we'll pull this bracket thing off here, and you can see where we just used a little bit of sprue to kind of make a rebar support to go over that, and I'll probably hit it with a little bit of that Vallejo plastic putty just to solidify it in there and not have to worry about it at all. But that takes a little bit to dry, and then you just lock that in, and you can put a different faceplate. All of this is just kind of tacked on with some blue tack. That's that blue you see there. Now for the weapons, like I said, these just go right into there. Now for the weapons, let's get it straight here and I'll show you. So the I have to write on these bags because I forget what I use what for. So for these, they're 1/4 inch by 1/16 inch for the tops, which is going to be right here, which are countersunk into this little barbell looking thing that we talked about. And then 1/32 inch actually fits right into here, like super smooth. There will be a little bit of a gap, or you can just drill it out and use the larger size, which I think is what we did right here, but it just kind of depends on personal preference. So you got that pack right there. And you know, just to be said, I always get my stuff from Magnet Baron because he's in the hobby, he supports the hobby, he's, you know, out there. He isn't some random seller on Amazon, you know, coming in from China and doesn't give a shit about any of us, right? So the money stays in the hobby and, you know, doing good hobby things out there. So I'd like to support Magnet Baron. He didn't pay me to say that. But he does run ads on the site from time to time, but we've been working together for a number of years, and I think he does good things for the hobby, so we're always going to talk about him where we can. So that's how to magnetize that. Now the waist is a little bit more powerful of a magnet. That is generally going to want a 1/4 by 1/16, but it looks like I used, well, maybe I didn't label my stuff right, so I used a bigger one here. Ended up using, what is this? Oh, ended up using a 3/8 inch magnet by 1/16. So it's probably a little much. That's okay though. We'll make it work. I guess on the hole right here is exactly that. So you could use them. You could, now that I look at it, I probably could have used the 3/8 inch by 1/16 inch up here, and then gone a little smaller down here, because that's just a little too much power, you know what I mean? So we probably could have gone with like a 1/4, like a 5/16. 5/16 bigger, don't listen to me, I don't know what I'm talking about. We probably could have gone, 5/16 is smaller actually, I'm a dummy. It's almost a 1/4 inch, so that we probably could have gone 5/16, or even a 1/4 perhaps. I think my armatures are a 1/4 to be quite honest, so I think that would have been fine. So I'm just looking at this in retrospect, kind of second guessing myself. But whatever it is, you know, you could use the more powerful in the top and a 1/4 or 3/8 on the bottom, and we're just gonna stick with that and keep moving. Jumping over to the big, oh, let me show you the other weapons too. So all of these weapons, I forgot that there's 2 sets of weapons on this. Normally we're used to getting boned by GW, right? So you got this little claw, and the claw spins, which is really neat on its own accord. You don't have to do any magnetization. I think that thing's really neat. And then you've got the, we've seen this before, of course, a melta weapon from the Warglaive. So this thing's really cool looking, right? Like, rah. I love this guy. These are really cool. Like, I wish when I was more into Chaos, they had this thing, because I would be all about these guys. But now I got Imperial Knights, and I don't need 2 sets of Knights. Let's be real. Okay, so here's the big boy. Oh, wow, we got to zoom out on the camera. He's so big. There he is. So here's the big boy. Now, he doesn't look quite as chaosy as all the pictures, because we don't have all the accoutrements on the top, of course. We don't have the flag here because you have to actually glue the armor plates on. We don't have the chains, which I think are really neat, and I forgot to touch on them on the accessory sprue. But there's chains you can put in here to hang down now. There's an optional, which I didn't know. Again, there's a different ion shield that you can put on this, which I didn't know. And then there's the new butt plate and the little Achiliodon, I think it's called. He's kind of like a Stegosaurus, but he's not a Stegosaurus. For all you dinosaurologists out there, right? But he's got that flat tail on the back that usually you use like a ram or like a baseball club on the people, and that goes down the back here. So you switch this butt plate out and you can have the tail, but we're not going to have that because we tried to get ahead of the curve and we were actually behind. That's okay though. So everything else looks really neat. So these, like I said, you could use a little 1/8 inch magnet and magnetize those in. You don't necessarily have to, because there isn't any variance like meltas or anything like that. And then the ion shield should move. I don't think I glued that down. And then this right here, you've got your magnets. Now, I did want to touch on that. So there's 2 different size magnets that you put in that little barbell looking thing. Oh, and some of the armor plates are already falling off. So you've got this, and this sinks in pretty much perfectly if you use the little one, the 5/16 inch magnet right here. That will perfectly sink into that acorn. Now you can see all this white stuff around here. This is the plastic putty that I used. It slightly kind of makes a little bit of a gap when you put it in there, and then you just kind of seal it back up. You can use glue to seal it, whatever. And then this, what you want to do is put the I think we ended up doing, what did we end up doing? The same size magnet on that one for this opening. So we literally used the same size magnet, which was the 5/16. And I think we used these other ones for the waist. Yeah. So we used, yep. So we used a 5/16 inch magnet right there to lock in. So we can put that on the outside of the barbell. We don't have to countersink it in or anything like that. And then same over here, but that one actually fit flush, because that one's a little different. It's got the acorn, but all of these will fit flush. And then you just do the same thing on this guy right here. Just put it on the outside. Now there's a lot of glue, and you want to make sure you get that, you get a nice, good, strong bond. You can scrape this with your hobby knife. Don't scrape the magnet with your hobby knife because it might flake off and hit your eyeball, and you don't want any of that in your eyeball. Magnets don't go in your eyes. Ask me how I know. So, but that will give you a little bit stronger of a bond. Now, as far as the waist goes, we did the same thing we did with the armature. Actually, I think that's literally the same magnet. Now on the inside, there's going to be a little bit of rebar and a little bit of plastic putty, but I didn't. I glued this bit down. So don't glue this bit down till you drill it out. Put your magnet on there. Now on the inside here, you actually leave a little bit of a gap because that's where that is going to lock in. And I'll show you, because we cut those little Flintstone whistles off. We can pull this off, and then you can see the rebar. Well, maybe if we get some light in there, you get that rebar in there, and that actually locks the magnet in. We didn't hit any plastic putty in there quite yet, but that's okay. We'll hit it. We'll hit it with some plastic putty here in a few after we get this video done, because that takes like pretty much 24 hours to dry. So put that top back on. Put this guy here, and this armor plate back on. Now you're probably wondering, like, hey Rob, I hate magnets. I hear what you're saying. I like future-proofing my minis because look at that guy. And you know that you can switch between any of the weapons now. Oh, and check this out. The tolerances were so tight, I didn't even glue this. Literally not glued. So if they ever come out with another sprue that with more weapons or a Forge World kit or something, you don't even have to worry about it, because as long as you don't glue that on, it's good to go. But then you've got the normal build gun, and where's the slasher? Oh, and there's a fister too. So we got the slasher and the fister and all the things, so you can future proof. Hey, this looks great. I like this. This is a good idea. I never know, what weapon I'm gonna want. But how do I? Dude, first of all, those magnets are huge. What do I do? All right, check it out. Just get a hand drill. And the cool thing about this hand drill is it's got a little grip, adjustable grips in the front. I don't know what this is called. We'll call it a grippy. It's got a grippy on the front. It's adjustable. It pretty much goes. I think I have a 1/2 inch magnet, believe it or not, or a 1/2 inch drill bit that I actually use on this thing. And then you just get you some quick release set of, I guess this is standard. So this is going to be your 3/8, or excuse me, your 5/16 for the waist, and nope, the 3/8, and then the 5/16, and then the 1/4 inch for the armatures, and then these things just slot in. And if you happen to have a quick release drill, you can, or a hand drill, you can use these too, but you get better control. Because look at that, you get in there with this, drill a little pilot hole with your normal pin vise that's super tiny, so that way you get a lead for your flutes, your magical flutes right here to lock into, and then boom, you just start drilling in. And once you get that kind of worked out, you can really get in there and drill out the magnet hole for sure with this big chunky thing. Look at this weapon, it's magnificent. So this is how I do all the close in work on this stuff. When I if it was Forge World, I'd probably use power tools, but since it's just a plastic, you just want to use your big hand cranker right here, and this thing's great. So that is, I think, everything. I don't know. I probably forgot something at this point that I talked about. We got all the magnet sizes right here. We always scoop them up from Magnet Baron. And I think that's pretty much it. But if I forgot anything, or if you have any comments, please drop them below, and we'll have the list of all the supplies, plastic putty, all the glues, all the magnets, all the links. Those are all always in the comments and descriptions too. If you're like, oh dang, I want to get me one of them, where do I get it from? We should have the big old list in there, and of course we get a little bit of spiff from Amazon, of course. But, you know, it's always good to have the links and stuff, and you help support the channel. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching our unbox and build of the new, and a little bit of a rant, of the new Chaos Army box. So thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can always get your hobbies for less from dicehead.com, hopefully your local game store, and of course, Amazon as well. If you liked that video feature, consider supporting us over at patreon.com and get back in the mail each month a miniature crate full of some of the stuff we review here, as well as some of the top 3D artist designs out there too, to help support what they're doing. Plus, discount coupon codes from some of those same manufacturers. They're yours to keep, whether you cancel or stay on. It's totally up to you. Obviously, we want to keep you as happy as possible. So check it out over at patreon.com/spikybits.